There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always had my back, my guardian soldier. Team pulled together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, ride.
Welcome back, Moto fans. Today we have got another awesome guest for you guys. Before we get into it, a big thank you to our partners for this episode: Fastline Suspension, Southeast Pools, Iro Helmets, Wolf Building Compliance, Ultimate Toy Haulers, and the February sponsor of the Mental for Moto Motocross and Supercross wall calendars, available on the Mental for Moto website now, O'Donnell Motorcycles. Now, our guest for this episode hails from Newcastle, so he's a little bit too far away to just pop in and join me in the Moto Asylum in person. He's a professional motocross coach and a strength and conditioning coach who has no doubt been living the pre-season madness. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Bronson Dewar to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. Awesome to be here.
Hope I got your last name right. Is that how you say it?
Oh, it's close. It's Dewar.
Dewar. Okay. Well,
yeah. That's all right. Not many people get it on first try. That's all good.
That's it. I've never heard that surname before. Where's that from?
Scottish, apparently.
Oh, cool. Back a few generations?
Yeah, quite a few, I think. I'm definitely not Scottish in any way, shape or form.
Nice. So how have you been surviving the pre-season madness? I think we've got the pro season coming up. The amateur season's just about to kick off, or it has kicked off in a few places already. How are you surviving that?
Yeah, it has actually wound down a little bit the last week. Most of like the real big push sort of happened sort of just before Chrissy and after Chrissy and stuff. So it is starting to wind down just a little bit now. But you get a lot of people that sort of just do the last minute, haven't done much, and give me the call up.
Yeah, we'll prepare in 2 weeks. We'll have the fitness and the riding technique down pat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what sort of level of riders are you mostly working with? Like beginners right through to the pro level, or is it sort of mostly sort of grassroots stuff?
Yeah, quite literally beginners all the way through. I do a nice little Monday afternoon group at my local track where we do all little 50s and beginners, and do a lot of like kickstarts, like getting kids into the sport and getting their licenses and all those kind of things, which is, I find it fun. I love training the little kids. I got a soft spot for the little kids and whatnot, and seeing how they sort of like where they start and how they progress over the years. But yeah, no, we do everything from there all the way in between, and yeah, do a few guys that are up and competing in nationals and stuff like that as well. So yeah, we do everything, the whole range, and I find each level of riders quite rewarding in their own individual ways as well.
Oh, for sure. So tell me a little bit about your business. You've got sort of two elements that I can see. You've got motocross conditioning coach, and then you've got your online training program, mxfit.com.au as well. So tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, cool. So, we've got the main business, which is the motocross conditioning coach, which is the strength and conditioning. It's the on-bike training, the coaching, the programs, the camps, all those kind of things. And then, we do run most of all that out of my main website, which is my mxfit.com website, which is, my online program that, it's just a really cool online program where everyone can just follow something that's actually like specific for motocross riders, is going to tick all the boxes that they need for their fitness. And also we do program on bike training and all those kind of things as well. So it's just a cool little program that we cooked up a few years ago, and it's just sort of built and developed over the years. We've got about 150 odd riders on that program at the moment, and that just runs as like a program on a calendar. Yep. So just each month I just go, all right, cool, here's this month's program, and everyone follows it and just sort of step it all through. It works well that way, because then at least it's following a race calendar and that as well, as opposed to like most people jump on and buy a 12-week program. And well, it might be a really good 12-week program, but it might not be applicable to where you are in your season and all those things as well.
Yeah. And do you check in with the riders along the way, or is it completely like an online program?
Yeah, so through that one, the writers definitely do have the ability to message and ask questions and all those kind of things. Leave feedback on like they can leave feedback on full sessions or individual parts of sessions and all those kind of things. The system that I use, we get a lot of like as they're going through and they're logging all their results, you get a lot of data spread off of that. So I do use the feedback that I'm getting from everyone's right training to help steer the program and that as well. If we're sort of seeing like, oh, this might be plateauing or this is going really good, but we might be losing another area or something like that as far as fitness and all those things are concerned, then yeah, it helps sort of steer the program. And obviously that's not going to be the case for every single individual, but when you're looking at 150 riders and you're seeing trends, you go, all right, cool, we'll follow the trends.
Yeah, 100%. The MX Fit side of things, is that sort of targeted specifically towards races, or is it like riders in general? You know, is it people that are just want to get better at riding as well and get fitter?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely for everyone. Like I get a lot of like dads or like even just older guys that are like maybe 30, 40, 50. You get quite a few vets like in their 50s and stuff like that that are like, oh, like I need to get fit. And they're sort of utilizing the idea of, well, they also want to ride their bikes and be better on their bikes. So it's like they're getting on top of their health and their general fitness, but like using the motorbikes as the motivation.
Yeah.
So that's quite a few people sort of go along those lines, which works great for them as well because like they're still getting their awesome fitness in, they're improving their general well-being and health and all those things. But yeah, they're also at the same time getting better at the thing that they actually really like doing, which is their motorbikes.
Yeah.
So we get quite a few people like that. We do run junior programs within that MX Fit program as well, so we get quite a few juniors like doing it as well, and yeah, get a few. I'd say maybe teenagers, early 20s and stuff like that in similar sort of areas. I don't have anyone that's really serious about their racing, like super serious on that program. Most of the people that are pretty serious about their racing are going more down the individualized route. But yeah, that's where most of the lay of the land is for that program.
Yeah. So that's more your motocross conditioning coach side of the business, which is in person. Tell me a little bit about that. I can see on your website you've got a whole bunch of different types of like coaching sessions and programs that you run.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got quite a bit of a spread of stuff going on at the moment. So yeah, I'm based out of Newcastle. My local track is Cessnock Motocross Track. So I'm also on the committee for that track too. So we're sort of here, there, and everywhere, all the time around the track. So yeah, I do 2 afternoons a week. We do a Monday afternoon and a Friday afternoon out there. I've got a couple of kids that are doing some full-time programs and that as well, where we're at the track sort of more in the middle of the day and that too. So utilizing that midday sort of period where we can do a bit more one-on-one, or like sometimes we've got 2 or 3 riders, like 2 or 3 on 1, and doing a bit more specific work in there. And that's sort of like the normal week to week stuff. That's how that's sort of all running. And then we're also out at Ranch MX on every Wednesday and that as well. Take a few kids out there and yeah, run them through some more training out there. It's a little less formalized when we go out there because I can't go out and be standing on tracks and pointing kids through ruts and all those kind of things because it is an open track. We're just more so
Yep.
doing like motos and sprints and things like that when we go out there. And then yeah, that's sort of our weekly stuff. And then outside of that, we run camps, big 4-day camps. Do quite a few 2-day camps and stuff like that as well. I had great hopes of going and spreading out and doing coaching schools all over New South Wales, Queensland, and Victoria this year, but the schedule's just getting a bit wild, and I don't know if I can commit to doing too much more than I already am between the big 4-day camps that we do and the other 2-day ones that we've already sort of committed that we do quarterly as well.
Yeah, I know. I spoke to you last year about maybe coming down to Victoria. Is that sort of hard to move your program to different places and secure tracks for, especially for multi days?
Yes and no. It's not too bad. Like I did speak to quite a few tracks down there. Some were pretty approachable, some less so. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's more so that filling numbers and spots is always going to be the hardest thing. Going down to different areas where you don't not as well known and stuff like that as well. It's something that is definitely to be considered. But more so for me, the biggest issue is time.
Yeah,
That's where I'm at the moment. I'm just like, I don't know if I can, yeah, like just have the time without sort of detracting from the rest of my family life and all that things as well. So that's sort of the reason we've steered away from that at the moment.
yeah. No, I mean, if you've got enough work locally, I'm assuming from what you've said so far, this is your full time gig, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. So I went all in on this, left my day job April last year. So yeah, coming up on nearly 12 months now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And have you got other people that you work with, like on your team as well?
I wouldn't say to that extent. I've got a couple of coaches that I do utilize for most of my schools that we do run whenever we do need more than one coach. So yeah, like I've got regulars that like these are just guys I've got really good relationships with. We work really, really well together, and I know they do a really good job as well. And I know that they're gonna like do what I need them to do. So yeah, I've got three coaches that are like that I sort of lean on and utilize with my camps. But outside of that, yeah, it's a one man show. It's
Yeah.
all me.
Like I can speak from experience. I've gone full time with what I do over the last 2 years, and it's definitely a challenge in the moto industry. But if you're passionate about it, which you obviously are, that's why you've pursued it. But yeah, tell me about that transition going from a day job to building this as a business.
So I was working in the mines for the last several years. So shift work, but big days and all that kind of stuff. But when you're doing shift work, you get more days off than most people. We were only working 7 out of 14 days on the rosters that we were running. So it wasn't too bad in that I was able to still do quite a lot of my coaching and all those kind of things in conjunction with the day job. It was just getting to the stage where I pretty much had no days off, and
Yep.
it was just you're at your day job, and then you'd finish your day job, and then the next days you were at your coaching job, and it was getting just a bit hectic as far as that goes. And it got to a stage where we were sort of looking at numbers and we're running all the numbers through with me and my wife, and we're going like, all right, I think we can do this. And it's like, I think if we do it, we'll be okay. Like we'll make enough money, I hope. So yeah, that was always the biggest one. Is just like, all right, we're going to make enough money. Are we going to be able to survive? Like that was the biggest sort of leap and the biggest sort of risk that you sort of take, I guess, when you're doing that.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, I can totally relate. So, how did you actually manage to scale your business and grow it to a point where you were going from sort of working at it part time to full time? Was it just through word of mouth from your clientele? Like, is there heaps of riders up there looking for midweek coaching? And obviously, there's enough to keep the business running.
Definitely word of mouth's a huge part of it. Yeah, it 100% is. Like everyone talks in the moto industry. So, yeah, definitely word of mouth is a huge one. And like that's done like the local side of things. But the biggest thing that's helped the most and what's really sort of ticking the boxes as far as sort of keeping keeping the dream alive has been our big 4 day camps.
Yep.
And yeah, like when we run our 4 day camps, so we get quite a big pool of riders. So we getting riders from like North Queensland, Victoria, South Australia. We even get people from Tassie,
Oh wow.
which is pretty cool. So word of mouth isn't really the biggest sort of side of things there. A lot of the biggest thing that's helped us in that side of things has been like actually treating everything like it's a real business. So yeah, like actually having the website set up properly. We've got like professional videos done of our camps and what goes on in them and all those things. We've got like good CRM follow-ups and all those kind of things. It's like it's actually running it like a business,
Yep.
and that's helped the most, I think. And like I've gone down the road of having, like, I guess you could sort of quote unquote business coaching and stuff like that, a few times over the years. And yeah, definitely wouldn't be anywhere near where I am with like the actual business side of things without that assistance. No, nowhere near.
Yeah.
I'd be just a normal motocross rider punter just saying, "Hey, I'm doing a schools.
Yeah.
Everyone come."
No, I definitely know what you're talking about. Like I've been self-employed for all but about 2 years since I was 20.
Mm.
Finding that balance that works between working on the business and working in the business is it's so hard. Like it's probably something that I've only started to to really actually get on top of in the last couple of years. And I think for a coaching business, like you said, when you're growing and you're trying to get the website built, have you brought in or engaged like other services to do that for you, or do you do it all yourself?
So I paid someone initially to build out the bones of my website, but it's all run through WordPress. So I've got full access in,
Yep.
and so like all those, like all my web pages, my advertising pages, like I build all them out myself. So yeah, like I said, I did get it initially, like the bones of it built out and the structure, and then I just basically just copy and paste the structure and just do it all the rest of myself from there.
Yeah, no, unreal. Well, tell me a little bit about these 4-day island. Are they all at the island, the boot camps, or do you do them
Yeah,
everywhere?
yeah,
Yep.
they are. Yeah, so they're all at the island, our big 4-day ones. Honestly, I've looked at trying to do them at some other places, but there's nowhere else in Australia that you could run these camps, like in at the level and to the same capacity at which we do run the camps out at the island. We couldn't do them anywhere else. It's an absolute phenomenal facility. Anyone that's ever been there, like there's you can't find anything wrong with it. It's just
Yeah.
it's heaven on earth for motorbikes. It's phenomenal. So yeah, we run them out at the island, and yeah, it just works so well. Like the general facilities of the place, like it seems like such a arbitrary thing, but even just the toilet and shower
Yep.
facilities are actually really nice, which is very rare when it comes to most motocross tracks these days in Australia. So like it's just everything about the place is just phenomenal. So yeah, we run all of our 4-day camps out of the Island Action Sports Centre. It's quite well located as well. So it's just an hour north of Newcastle. It's straight off the highway. It's super accessible for everyone that's coming. Like I said, we get people doing some pretty wild travels to come up and do these camps. But when it's 4 days, it kind of does make it worth it as well. Like you're not going to travel from Tasmania to come and do a 1 or 2 day training school, but 4 days it does make it a lot more worth it. And yeah, just the way that we've built and structured them, because we've been running them for 2.5 years now. So we run them every school holidays in that period in there. Yeah, each camp that we run, we keep improving. We take feedback from all the people, from all the parents, from all the riders. We build up, we make changes, make improvements, and all those kind of things. Getting to a pretty good little bit of a rhythm with most things and that as well with how we run them. Each camp is different as well in that, like us coaches, we're sort of one of like those people that have got like a million things stuck up inside your head on what you can do, and you're just sort of like, all right, this is my group, and like this is where they're at, and we're just pulling on that experience on what we're going to do.
Yep.
So yeah, we get quite a few people that come as repeats even and do quite a few multiple camps, and every time they come, they're like, "Oh, like we learnt so like we thought we are just gonna do the same thing again, but no, we learnt more and more and more," and they just keep progressing each time. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, what are the benefits to doing like a 4-day boot camp as opposed to doing once a week or twice a week, or doing that sort of coaching?
Yeah, cool. So like I've been coaching for quite a few years. I've pretty much moved entirely away from doing 1 day training schools. I
Oh
don't
wow.
really
Yep.
see that much benefit from them personally anymore. Basically, like we think about it practically, or even from like a parent standpoint, where a kid goes to a training school and it's like, all right, well, we want to learn all these things. We're only going to be there for one day. It's like, all right, well, if you want to learn all these different things, then we are only going to be able to spend like 15, 20 minutes on each exercise before we have to move on and keep doing more stuff. And so the biggest problem with that is that the only way that we learn any skill is through high repetition. So the benefit of our 4-day camps is, yes, obviously we've got a lot of time. So it allows us to cover a lot of different things. But most importantly, it allows us to spend enough time on each individual thing so that we're not rushing through stuff.
Yep.
So, like on most of our days, like if we were to really break down the crux of it, we probably only worked on 3 or 4 things each day. But in those days, we spent enough time learning and repeating and developing that skill that we did learn. So that's the real benefit in there. So like I said, that's why we've sort of moved away from 1-day schools. We don't really do them anymore. I do run 2-day schools. They're a different structure again, completely to the 4-day schools. But yeah, the 4-day schools are just, it's one of those things where if you want to come and just make some like actual real meaningful changes to your writing and your ability and your confidence, you can come and do that and walk away a pretty different writer at the end of it.
Yep.
Whereas you go to a 1-day school, yes, you might have learnt stuff, but did you actually implement it to a point where you're actually writing differently now the next time you go ride, which is where we sort of see those fall short.
And do you give the riders sort of tools and exercises to do, after the boot camp to be able to continue that development as well?
Yeah, yeah. So we use this really cool system called Sport Sense. It's actually was developed for mountain bike riders, but mountain bike riding, motorbike riding, pretty similar.
Same. Different?
So yeah, I use that system. So it's an online video like analysis and coaching tool. So yeah, all of our riders when they leave the camp, they get access to 2 months of one-on-one of that with me so they can send through videos of them riding. And yeah, we'll basically like use that app. We can draw on it, pause it, like explain things, do all sorts of really cool stuff. Put a little skeleton over the top of it, and you can see like joint angles and all those kind of things,
Oh
and
wow.
make sure they're in the right body. It's a sick app. It's such a cool app. But yeah, we do all that and yeah, so everyone gets that for 2 months after coming to the camp. So it's like they know the things that they need to work on. But it's like, hold on, am I there yet? It's like, all right, well, send us the videos. We'll see if you're there yet. No, no, shin angles still not quite right. Body positions, like whatever tweaks we need to make. And they go, yep, sweet. And they keep working through with us in a one-on-one sort of space and with that as well, which is really cool.
You've obviously got like a real attention to detail. Like, where did that come from? Did you have sort of another coach that you worked under that influenced you, or was this something that you've sort of developed all on your own?
No, it's very much something I've developed on my own. I have had some coaches myself over the years and done a lot of coaching schools and all those kind of things over the years. Most of that happened when I was younger, though. I haven't been a part of much other coaching in my sort of more adult life. But yeah, no, I'm just absolute like I can't help myself. I love it. I love going out.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that'll go out when he does his own riding. I go ride out by myself quite a fair bit, and I'll go and find one section or like one corner or one rut, and I will just ride that over and over and over again for like 2 hours
Yep.
and just continually changing, tweaking, adjusting, video myself, all those kind of things, and learning as I'm going. And then I'll call it a day. Sweet, I'm going home. So like that's been me for quite a long period of time, which is really cool because like when you're explaining things as a coach, it's one thing to be able to do it. It's another thing to be able to explain it, but then it's another thing to be able to explain it in many different ways and have different like analogies or different like ways to, because everyone learns differently. You
Yep.
got people that learn visually, kinesthetically through touch and feel, or audibly, so through explaining, someone telling you something. So it's important that, like as a coach, I need to be able to explain in all three different areas
Yep.
of how it's supposed to be, how's it supposed to look, how's it supposed to feel, where are you supposed to feel it, and like what are you supposed to hear, like, oh, like all those kind of things. So being able to like coach in all those different ways. And yeah, when I am out doing my own writing, I'm taking in all that feedback myself as well to try and figure it out and be like, all right, cool. Well, if you're feeling this, then that's wrong. But if you're feeling this, then that's right. And you can help them with all those things as well.
What do you think is sort of one of the most under-addressed aspects of rider development? I know you're super passionate about the rider development aspect. So, like when you look at other coaching programs or even just the riders that come to you, like where do you feel that they sort of need the most work?
Definitely, probably one of the most common ones that we find if we're talking just speed in general, especially with your like intermediate, like club level riders or people that are just starting to sort of break into maybe doing a bit of open and state stuff. Lowest hanging fruit for all of them is pretty much always like they do a lot of coasting, like coming into corners, so not actually charging down into corners and braking and using the brakes effectively into turns. That's always like a super easy one where we can just unlock quite a few seconds on riders, straight up by just learning how to actually use their brakes effectively, and how to judge when they actually do need to start getting off the accelerator and getting on the brakes and all those kind of things as well. But as far as just general rider development, like you said, it's one of those things that I'm extremely passionate about. And I guess the biggest thing that I sort of find myself telling people often is that like it's not about trying to be the fastest rider tomorrow. That's not what, especially juniors. Like you got your young kids that are on 65s, 85s, even on 125, 250s and stuff like that as well. They all want to be winning AJMX next year. And I'm like, cool, that's really awesome. That's a great goal to have. But like rider and athlete development is a process. It's a long process. It's not something that happens overnight unless you're some kind of like talented freak when it comes to
Yep.
motorbike riding. So yeah, actually like slowing down and not trying to push speed too early in the process as well, and actually spending enough time on dialing in technique, body positioning, working on all their controls, clutch, brake, throttle, all those kind of things, all the little drills, all that stuff, and getting really, really highly competent in that space before you start trying to introduce speed. Speed's where most crashes happen. And at the end of the day, you're only going to be able to do any good in this sport if you stay healthy. And crashing's not really part of that.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, that's a real big thing that I find myself having to tell riders, but parents a lot as well. A lot of parents want to try and push it very hard, very quick. And it's like, all right, hold on, like you're actually going to start hurting your kid if you keep pushing it in this direction at this pace.
Yeah. Do you find yourself sometimes, a little bit of the middleman there, where it's hard to, I guess, communicate something to one of your riders, especially when their parents are telling them, potentially the complete opposite? Sort of, when you're coaching the kids, is there a bit of separation sometimes between yourself and the rider and the parent? Like, are they on the sidelines or are they right there?
Yeah, no. So a lot of our schools, yeah, I do get the parents out in there because I like them to learn and be learning the same things that the kids are learning. It's important that they're on the same page.
Yep.
Um, but no, definitely, there's a big part of what we do where we find we're coaching the parents as well, depending on my level of involvement with the individuals and that as well. I probably wouldn't do a great deal of it if it's someone's just showing up to a 1 day camp with me, unless there's something that really needs to be said. but yeah, there's definitely a big part of coaching the parents because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to be there with the kids through their racing career and all those kind of things. And it's important that it is, well, one, it's a good relationship, like, and it works well for them in a racing sense. But it also is important that you don't lose the, like, well, father son, daughter son, like whatever, um, relationship there as well. It's like you can't lose your whole family dynamic to racing, which is something that happens a lot as well. So, yeah, like it is good having a coach because like I can step in or someone like me can step in and create that separation between like the riders and the family and that as well, where it's like, all right, no, 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 you just need to be dad. And I was like, you don't need to be coach, you
Yeah.
just need to be dad. And I was like, I'm coach. And they're like, oh, I like this. This is way better. And I was like, yeah, it is, isn't it? So yeah, it's important to work in both areas with rider and parent, definitely.
Yeah, I've definitely really enjoyed some of the things you've posted over the, I guess, the last couple of years when it comes to the philosophy of I guess teaching, younger riders and like you said, that interaction with the parents as well. The approach that you've taken, it's really resonated with me on focusing on developing the rider to be a better rider, but not necessarily like just being result centric. Because
Mm,
I think that's super important. I heard an American coach say a few years ago, don't make a big deal over individual race results because they'll have about as much influence on whether or not you make it in the sport as a grade 4, a bad mark on a grade 4 test. And it
yeah.
really put it into perspective. I think that a lot of moto parents definitely overlook that aspect where they get so micro focused on every little aspect. Is that sort of something that you've experienced as well?
Yeah, definitely. And like you've got to work that with the parents and the riders. It depends on the riders as well. You definitely have a range. Like it's not
Do you get
like
riders that I
everyone's the
guess
same.
get that micro focus as well?
Yeah, 100%. Like I've got some riders that they have one bad race, or even if they ride bad in qualifying, and it's
The wheels
like
fall off.
yeah, you're trying to pick the pieces up for the rest of the day nearly,
Yep.
which is yeah, like I said, like that's obviously a big part of like you can't be doing that. So yeah, like we work with the writers in that sort of mindset, sports psychology space with all those kind of things as well. But yeah, at the end of the day, like one of the biggest things that we work with and like with the writers that we are working with on a like long term basis is like is this negatively affecting our long-term goal? And it's like, well, what's our long-term goal? What's the big picture? And it's like, did this club day race affect that big picture? No, it didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's always just bringing them back to that and just keeping them out of that, yeah, like that micro view of like what's happening right here and now, and being like, hold on. Like if we zoom back and now look at it, like how big is this problem now? And they go, oh yeah, no, it's not that bad. So yeah, we definitely do get a few riders like that. But we get a few that are just the exact opposite. And they're so blasé as well. And you're just like, I was like, it's good that you're not getting too worried about it, but we need to worry at least enough about it for us to be able to at least analyze why it happened and what we can do differently in the future to avoid
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast with Seiji Ishii. He's an
Yeah,
American
yeah.
American
Yeah, he's
coach.
sick. I follow him too.
Yeah.
I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's got some really fascinating viewpoints, and he was sort of saying, if the mental side of riding is 30% of the the competition side and whether or not you
Mm.
succeed and do well, like he said, how many riders actually train 30% of the time on the mental aspect? And I thought that was a really fascinating sort of approach.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's even more profound in the junior ranks, like yes, kids on 65s and 85s, they can go one day to the races and blow the doors off and smash everyone. And then literally the next weekend go out and be struggling to get a top 10.
Yeah.
And you're like, this isn't even the same kid. What's happened? And it's all just in their heads. It's all just what's going on upstairs.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the confidence side. I had Cam Taylor in last week, and just he said sort of with his career, the confidence side was a real make or break factor between good years and the years that weren't so good. I don't know if there's any other sport where confidence plays such a big factor, because like riders don't necessarily get better or worse from one week to the next, but the
Mm,
confidence, from one day to the next can be high or low, and it can have
yeah.
a huge impact on the riders. Do you follow the riders that you coach like on race day as well? Like, do you go to the races, or do you just give them the tools and then, on race day they're sort of doing their own thing?
Yeah, we do go to some races. I don't go to everything. Like I said, I still have my own family and stuff like that. But yeah, we go down. Like I'll usually go to round one of nationals. We'll go down to one thaggy. I'll do the local ones. Like I'll go like if we're at Appen, I'll go to the Appen one and stuff like that as well. Yeah, we'll pop out to some of the big stuff that we can get to. But yeah, a lot of the times I find myself just having phone calls.
Yep.
I'll get dads call me up. Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, or we're having troubles with this. Can you have a chat with him? It's like, yep, sweet, chuck him on the phone. And that's when we're having phone calls and doing those kind of things as well. I had quite a few phone calls the other month when AJMX was on. There was quite a few sort of back and forths with a couple of different riders down at AJMX and that as well. And yeah, it definitely helps. It helps to have, like I said, not mum or dad giving you that assistance and giving you that advice and things like that as well. Especially teenage boys. Dad
Yep.
doesn't know jack shit, so, so don't talk to me. You get a lot of that sometimes. So yeah, we do help the riders in that space as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's got to be funny, like when you tell one of the riders something, and it might be something that their parents have told them, 100 times in the
Oh,
last, and then
yeah.
the look on the parent's face is just like, oh. And the kid's like, it's like they've heard it for the very first time when it's come out of
Yeah.
your mouth.
Yeah. One of my favorite things from, like I said, my young fella, he does ride, but he doesn't race. He's just rides for a little bit of fun, and he'll come out to some of our camps every now and then. And one day he was in the group that I was coaching, and he's pulled the kids up and he's gone, hold on, you all better listen to my dad because he knows what he's talking about. And my neck has never snapped so hard in my entire life. I swear. I
That
could not believe the words coming out of his mouth. The
that's awesome.
hypocrisy. It was wild. I was just like, how about you take some of that advice?
Yeah, yeah. Now I've
Yeah, but it's always it's the classic example. I hear it from every parent.
yep.
Oh, kid won't listen to me. Or, it's like I need someone else to tell him what to do. And I'm just like, yep, that's the same with everyone.
Yeah, I've been involved in the education sector for about the last 11 years, and it's actually a recognised psychological development aspect for especially boys, teenage boys, where
Mm,
they'll listen to everyone except their
yeah,
parents. So
yeah.
yeah, I think is there like obviously that's one scientific side of it, but is there in your experience like is there a good time for riders to transition from a parent run program to a coach run program in terms of like their level that they're at or a particular age?
That's a really good question, actually. Not something I've given too much thought to, actually. It depends on the individuals, man. Like obviously you said you've been in the education sector for a while, and like me working with such a wide range of kids, the maturity levels vary so greatly. I've had 4-year-old kids show maturity levels of 7 and 8-year-old kids, and vice versa as well. I definitely think that comes down to a maturity level of the kids and family dynamics as well. Like you see some, I've definitely coached some kids that have phenomenal family dynamics, and they do work really well in that zone. And it's great to just have that external assistance where needed, but it's not like it's a I can't work with this kid here, you take him kind of scene.
Yep.
But then, yeah, we definitely do get a few of those ones as well. They're just like, look, like he's not doing anything I'm telling him to do. I'm handing him over essentially, and I get a few of them as well. But to put an age on it, it's hard. Even a rider level, I think that's not really, yeah, from my experience, not a hard and fast either.
Yeah.
It's just going to depend on one, the commitment level, but then yeah, two, just how that how those relationships are and how that dynamic is.
No, for sure. Do you like do a lot of research or look at other sports, for comparison to inform like the psychology side and even the physical training side of what you implement in your programs?
Oh, huge, huge. So, like going back to when I was predominantly strength and conditioning training, because I was doing strength and conditioning predominantly only for motocross riders for about 4 years before I started doing the on bike stuff as well. And when I first started doing it, I would have been one of the first and only guys in Oz that was actually doing strength and conditioning for motocross riders. When did I start that? That was 2014, I think it was 2014. So yeah, quite a few years ago. Back then, and even still today, like even the information that's out there for like off bike training for motocross riders and all those kind of things is either very limited or, in my personal opinion, quite subpar, and that as well. And yeah, a big thing was just looking at other sports. And even though other sports, they might not be exactly similar, but like having a good understanding of like human physiology, how the body works, human adaptation, all those kind of things, and being able to draw parallels where there's parallels to be drawn.
Yep.
It's like, all right, cool. Like this sport does this for this reason, for this outcome. It's like, cool, that's an outcome that we need. How can we utilize that? And all those kind of things. So, massive, massive thing that I did for a long time, and I still do it. I still draw from a lot of other sports as far as like the off bike stuff goes. Definitely the bike side is very unique, but when you start looking at, yeah, like the mindset side, nutrition side, and stuff like that as well, definitely draw on a lot of other, yeah, other sports as far as that goes. Because the way I see it is that even though that people say, oh, motocross has been around for many years, it is an absolute infant when you compare it to other sports.
Yep.
Like people have been playing like football and like running and swimming and all athletics and all those things for hundreds of years. And it's like, and especially over in America, the level at which they like invest into those sports and that as well is just phenomenal. So the information that you've got out there on those other sports is pretty damn good
Yeah.
information. And so when you start looking at it that way, you're like, all right, cool. Like we can actually learn and draw parallels and get so much value from this.
All right. I'll put a really simple question to you then. Why is strength and conditioning so important for motocross?
Oh, that's to me seems so super obvious. Yeah, it's a funny one, and it is so nuanced as well because there's so many different ways that you can ride a dirt bike, and like we see that you look at the top level, you look at Jet Lawrence versus Tomac. Tomac's level of output on the motorbike versus Jet's
Way
is
higher.
vastly different.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, so like for someone that wants to ride like Tomac, you need to be exceptionally fit and exceptionally strong because he's just swinging off that thing. Whereas someone more like Jet, yes, strength and fitness, definitely. But he's a lot more fluid. He's not really using huge amounts of strength and muscle to work around on the bike. He's just very well balanced. And so, just a good level of fitness is really where it is at for someone like that as well. So, yeah, which is really interesting for me as a coach. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, you can't just say, everyone needs this. And
Yeah.
it's like because not everyone needs the same amount. Everyone's going to ride slightly different. And we can have influence on that and influence the way that a rider's going to ride. But at the end of the day, what works for them is what's going to work for them. And you need to play into that because you try and start to do backflips on people and their riding styles when they're already a good rider, and it just doesn't work. So, yes, strength and conditioning is a massive one. Like we look at any other sport, you look at like literally any other sport, and everyone knows that they need to go to the gym, get stronger, faster, and fitter. It's just common knowledge. But when it comes to motocross, which I would say is probably one of the most physically demanding sports in the world, from a physical standpoint and a cognitive standpoint as well, which does take a lot of energy. Having high cognitive demand does drain a lot of energy from the body as well. It's a no-brainer that you need to be super fit in order to do the sport properly and effectively and safely. At the end of the day, fitness is safety as
Yep.
well, because 9 times out of 10, you're gonna crash because you're fatigued. And it's like, all right, cool. So if we can try and avoid the fatigue or we can draw the fatigue out longer, we've got less chances of crashing as well.
Yeah. I look at someone like Jet and I feel that the way he makes it look so easy and that effortless style, it has to be in some way thanks to like a tremendous amount of core strength as well, because of his ability to, I guess, maintain that position on the bike to, regardless of what the bike is doing. Is that something that you
Mm.
see when you look at him?
Yeah, yeah. So core strength's interesting. Like people think core is such a huge part of it, and everyone trains core. Yes, core is a big part of it. Mostly, like when we start talking about strength and conditioning, for like athletic performance and all those kind of things, core is so much more than what most people think. Core, and I actually prefer to use the term trunk.
Yep.
So it's basically everything from your shoulders all the way down to your hips. So that's going to include like obviously all your like ab muscles, which most people think about when they think about core, but you've also got all your back muscles. Your glutes are also tied into that because that's going to anchor down your hips and all those things as well. And yeah, it's so much more than just like, oh, I can do a lot of sit-ups and
Yep.
all those kind of things. And you've got obviously all your obliques and rotator muscles and all those things as well. So it's like it's a very large picture. And while it's something that gets trained, it's not something that we've found if we just get someone has a really strong core, then they're going to start riding really, really great. I'm yet to see results like that from riders that I've worked with where we go, oh, like definitely get fixing his core was the biggest key for this whole thing. Definitely for a lot of riders, what we find is just simply learning how to brace properly and move their body through space off of a solid core, which is more of a learning thing and less of a physically getting stronger thing. That's where we get a lot of gains, which is just at the end of the day, it's just a coordination thing. It's the same thing with balance. People go, "Oh, balance is such a huge important thing." And it's like, well, balance is very activity specific. It's like just because I can walk a tightrope doesn't mean I'm going to have good balance coordination on a motorbike.
Yep.
It's task specific. So yeah, everyone doing all these random circus tricks on Bosu balls and all those kind of things in the goal of improving their balance and stability for their motocross. You're getting better at that specific task. You're not actually getting carryover into the motorbike.
Yeah. So are you saying that balance is predominantly more of a muscle response that is trained to a particular activity?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's all task specific.
Yep.
So, because it's a combination of coordination, hand-eye coordination, proprioception, and muscle stability, which is all going to be yeah very very task specific. So yeah, like I said, like learning how to balance on all these other implements doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be have better balance on a motorbike because it's two different tasks at the end of the day because it's all just neural drive from the brain at the end of the day as well. So it's while you might get greater joint stability and things like that, will help, but it's not going to be the deciding factor of if you have good balance on a motorbike or not.
Yeah. If you were building the perfect rider, how like, and you were looking at a percentage pie, how much pie would be the on bike side? How much would be strength and conditioning? How much would be cardio? And what other pieces of the pie would you put in there?
Oh, if you're building the perfect athlete, definitely the biggest chunk would have to be bike, 100%, because you can get away with being and I've seen you see it all the time. Like you look at some like ex pros and stuff like that that are definitely, most definitely, they're not fit. You look at them, they're no longer fit anymore. They're not training anymore, but they can still ride the pants off and do a moto. And it's like, so like that bike skill side of things is a huge, huge, huge part of it. So, yeah, perfect athlete, you'd have to make a huge percentage of that would be bike skills and ability, 100%. Equal parts strength and fitness, I would say. I personally think that a lot of people underrate strength. Like a really easy example of what I use for a lot of people is that strength isn't just being stronger. Strength is actually going to contribute to endurance. So a really easy example of I use is if you take like a huge hit, like over jump a jump and land, and at your current level of strength, that takes a certain amount of effort for you to out of like of your part, it takes a certain amount of effort to absorb that huge hit
Your
that you
energy
just did.
bar goes down a certain amount.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it takes a certain amount of energy out of you to do that. But let's say we double your level of strength now. Now that takes a lot less effort on your part in order to do that. So you could potentially do more of it. So therefore, your endurance has actually gone up.
Yeah.
So yeah, strength is still very heavily tied in with endurance. So yeah, I'd say equal parts strength and endurance, and then yeah, you definitely have to throw a huge mindsets section in there too. It'd be a hard one. It'd be a hard one to draw a pie on because you'd be like, oh, everything's so important,
Yeah.
and like how much piece of the pie does everything get?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to give the vast majority to bike time, 100%.
Yeah. As far as the off bike exercises and the strength and conditioning goes, if you could only do 5 exercises off the bike, what do you think are the 5 best exercises, I guess, benefit you on the bike?
Yeah, yeah. So deadlifts would be straight up there with number one, 150%. It's very, very similar strength movement patterns that we do on the dirt bike. So in that hinge movement pattern. So having a really good, strong posterior chain all the way from the feet, hamstrings, glutes, and back as well, upper and lower. Very, very important. And that's all going to get developed through the deadlift. So that'd be my number one. That would always be a staple in that for our riders. Rowing is another really, really huge one that we use for our riders as well. I'm personally not a huge fan of running. I do have riders that do run a lot, but they're riders that just actually enjoy running and are good runners. So we utilize that. For
Is that
most other people that aren't going to sort of say, I really want to run, I'm like, all right, cool, we don't need to run. Let's steer clear.
is that because of the impact?
Yeah, high impact. So, like, when we're thinking about, like, trying to manage stress, on a rider, taking in the whole picture. So, motocross, as it's called, is a very high demand activity. We throw in extra high impact activity off the bike, and it's just going to be a lot for the body, unless the specific athlete already has a really good high level of conditioning in that zone. Like if they are just actually really good runners and have been doing a lot of running for a lot of years, then we can keep it in there. But unless they are like really good runners and have got a good tolerance to it, we usually steer clear of it for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we use rowing because yeah, it's low impact. It's low impact on the body, utilizes similar muscle movement patterns as well. So there is obviously a certain level of fitness that is specific muscular endurance. So utilizing similar muscle movement patterns whilst also working our endurance, very, very effective. Interchange that with ski erg as well. We will often have riders that are a little bit more prone to upper body fatigue in their racing, and we'll sub in ski erg instead of rower, and find that that has very, very effective results for the riders as well. So that's a cool one. But yeah, similar thing. Once again, we're just utilizing those machines that are going to utilize similar movement patterns for a bike, and we can work our muscular and cardiovascular fitness and endurance in that way in a lot of different zones. You could do long and slow, you can do medium, you can do short sprints, you can do everything. They're very effective machines. So yeah, you got your deadlift, you got your rowing machine. Definitely, I'm a huge fan of just most of the big 3 strength lifts as well. So I definitely get most of my riders doing some form of bench press, if it's dumbbell or barbell. You can use, like Swiss bars with some riders that might have some shoulder injuries and things like that as well. Can even go incline bench, which can be a little bit nicer on their shoulders too. But yeah, we use some form of bench exercise, like a horizontal push exercise is a really, really important one to have in there. Same with a horizontal pull, so some form of rowing movement as well. So if it's a bent over row with a barbell or dumbbell, seated rows on machines, all those kind of things. Also, yeah, very, very effective exercises to have in there. So having that good, strong upper body, but like, we're not only are we learning, and I mentioned this earlier, not only are we getting stronger and all those things, we're also learning movement patterns as well. So we're learning how to brace the body, brace our joints, how to express strength physically as well, higher neural drive, and all those things too, so that you can actually be explosive in those movements too. So explosive strength as well as just raw strength is two different things as well that we train. So you've got to have that upper body still got to be rather strong and resilient as well. So where we at there? That's 4 exercises. We get one more. One more exercise. What's another really good bang for your buck? I'm just a huge fan of some really good rotational core exercises.
Yep.
Heavy loaded rotational core exercises. So I don't even have a real name for it, but it's like a
Like wood
with a
choppers?
high cable. It's sort of like a wood chopper, sort of more bent over into a horizontal body position with a high cable and doing just a full rotation in there. But that's a exercise that you can, when you learn how to do it, you can load it very, very heavy and is very, very effective as well. So that'd be up there with one of those ones for us too. So yeah, if you slap those 5 and you did all 5 of those, you would be definitely doing half decent, that's for sure.
Is there any like need for plyometric type exercises for moto? Do they benefit at all?
Yeah, definitely. Once again, got to be careful with the dosage because, yeah, still it's quite a lot. I learnt that the hard way. It's one of those things where, as a coach, and you know all these things and you would never do it, but for some reason I think that I'm bulletproof and I'm exception to the rule.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of plyos. I was also doing a bit of running, which I'm not much of a huge runner, and I was doing a bit of running. And at the same time, I also started ramping up my own riding. And silly me didn't account for me ramping up my own riding, and ended up with Achilles tendinopathy. And I'm still suffering from that now, which sucks. So yeah, I'm done that to myself, unfortunately, because yeah, once again, it's like you think
For the
that
layman, is
you're the
that a tear
bulletproof
or an
one.
inflammation or?
More of an inflammation, yeah. So it's not the same as tendonitis, tendinopathy. So easiest way to explain it is, so you've got your tendon, and you a couple of little strands will actually break, and when they break, they sort of curl back, and they create little nodules, and those nodules are what aggravate and give you a bit of a pain, and that as well. So like, I can run with this injury, and at the time it's okay, but it's afterwards that I feel it. And yeah, some plyometric exercises, like hops and all those kind of things. If I do single leg hops, like on that one side that is injured, yeah, that sort of sends me through the roof, because it's that stability in that as well as the elasticity is just, yeah, it doesn't like it one bit.
I've got a few more questions because this is actually fascinating to me. So,
Yeah.
one thing that is a massive part of just about every pro moto program is conspicuously absent from your list, which is cycling.
No, so I'm not against cycling. I think that me personally, I feel like it just gets a little bit overused. If, like I said, I've got a wide range of riders. I've got riders that just enjoy cycling and will program cycling. I'm going to give someone the exercise that they're going to do, because there's no point in me giving them where I would quote
The
the
stuff they hate.
perfect program if they're not going to follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cycling definitely has its place. I feel like it gets a little bit overused. Like if you're going and doing like 2+ hour cycles a week, you could definitely be doing better things with your time, I personally believe. But it also depends on the time of season as well. So, and also on the individual athlete. If the individual athlete just really has a very low, like, aerobic base, then yeah, we would probably
To
utilize
build.
something like that, because we would need to bring that base up. But yeah, outside of that, I don't feel like it's the most effective use of a lot of riders' time, to be doing that amount of time and volume on a cycle bike. I guess like the best example I can use. So I was doing Zach Watson's program for quite a few years, up until only about a year and a half ago, and he likes cycle. So I was like, sweet. So we were doing at least 2 cycles a week, but each of those, he only did one cycle that was going no longer than an hour and a half. And then the other cycle was more like a 45-minute, sort of like chill recovery cycle that we just used for blood flow essentially. But he was still getting, because he just enjoyed doing cycling. I was like, sweet. Well, the one you're going to enjoy is the one we're going to do.
Yep.
So that's what we did there.
Back to the balancing question. Is there
Yeah.
exercises that you can do to improve your balance on bike, like off bike exercises?
Well, see, yeah, that's where I would say no.
Yep.
Off bike exercises to help on the bike, I would say no personally. That's where all the skill stuff comes in. That's where all your slow drills, or your wheelie balances, your stoppies, your tight circles, your weaving, all those kind of things. That's where your balance comes from. That's the stuff that you got to work on the bike. And you don't have to do heaps of it. It's like one of those things where, if you every time you go out riding, you do like 3 minutes of a little bit of like dicking around in the car park doing that stuff, and you did that every single time you went riding, that's where you're going to learn it. And that's where you're going to get the most benefit. But if you just go, okay, I'm going to work on balance for an hour today, and you do that once a month, it's probably not going to work out for you.
Yeah. In terms of the riding and the off bike stuff, when you look at a lot of the elite level riders today and the programs that they do you see a lot of them overdoing it?
I'd say most of the guys that are doing it and doing it well are doing it quite smart. I would say definitely the ones that are doing it well are doing it quite smart. I've definitely had a lot of riders that I've had to pull a lot of volume out of what they're currently doing. Like, yeah, okay, what are you doing now? And you're like, whoa, all right, no, that's sweet. I was like, you might make some sick progress over a 6 month period, but after that 6 months, it's going to go downhill. So yes, I definitely do see some of that. Mostly I see that in like your teenagers, your 16, 17, 18, 19-year olds,
The bulletproof ones?
that, yeah, just full of testosterone and just want to go ham on absolutely everything. And every time they go in the gym, it's full send. Every time they go on the track, it's full send race pace motos and all those kind of things. And it's like, cool, this is sweet. You might be making progress, but it's not sustainable progress as well. So we do see a little bit of that, not heaps of it, but yeah, definitely do see a little bit of it. Yeah.
So for an athlete that's sort of racing at a high level, how important is the recovery time?
Oh, huge, huge.
Because I guess that's
Well,
what I was sort of getting at when
yeah,
I
so
meant overdoing it.
to a certain degree. So like the biggest thing that I try and explain to riders is that race day should actually be one of the easiest days of your week, besides obviously a rest day. In a race day, you're not actually doing that much riding. When you compare it, if you're riding and training at a high level, the amount of riding that you do on a practice day should far exceed what a race day is. A race day, you have an entire day from the start of the day to the end, where all you do is a practice qualifying. Like we're talking about nationals here. So you do a practice qualifying, you do one race, and then a couple of hours later, you do another race, and that's it. Like that's really quite low volume and also spread out over a very long period of time. Where most people, when they go training, they're condensing that into half the amount of time and doing more volume as well. Yeah, it's actually not a very high demanding day. Cognitively and emotionally, yes, it is more demanding, but physically, it's not a super demanding day. I've been a huge advocate for not wasting Mondays and having recovery Mondays and all those kind of things. It's like, yeah, we're not going to go ham and go straight into the gym and have a full blown gym session, but we can still have an effective gym session. We can actually utilize Monday and actually have a strength training session on a Monday in certain and be smart about it though, and structure it properly and do the right sort of rep set schemes and all those kind of things. But we can utilize that as well so that we're not wasting an entire day and only going and doing a 30-minute recovery cycle or something like that. It's like we can actually utilize that time way more effectively because we don't need that much recovery from a race day.
Yeah. Obviously, with strength and conditioning, like a key ingredient in that being effective is diet. So, what sort of diet do you advocate for a motocross athlete?
I wouldn't. I'm not. So I'm not a huge fan of diets, or like any specific. I do know there is some people that go like the vegan and the keto
Oh,
and
well, I
all
didn't
those
mean
sort of
anything
things.
like extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just in general.
the biggest thing that I always say is just eating a nice, healthy array of foods. So making sure that you are eating a good variety, making sure that you're getting all the micronutrients that you need. Any specific diets always are going to have a certain level of restriction in them. Like any name diet is going to have something that you can't eat. Um, yeah, that's obviously if you're not eating something, then that's nutrients that you are going to be deficient in that you're going to have to get in some other way. So the easiest way to avoid that is to just eat a good wide variety of types of foods. So all your different types of meats. Make sure you're having red meat, white meat, like you're having fish, all those kind of things. You're eating your poultries, all that stuff as well. But I guess the most important thing that we find a lot of our riders are doing is they're not getting enough protein in. They don't prioritize protein enough. So prioritizing protein is very, very important, especially as like anyone that's going to have a high activity level. So you don't have to be a pro athlete to start eating like a quote unquote athlete. Anyone that has a high activity level, even kids, this is probably a big thing that we find ourselves telling a lot of parents at our training schools and stuff like that is even though you might not look at your kid and say he's an athlete, but if you look at his daily activity level and he's running around playing soccer or footy or whatever at lunchtime twice a day for lunch and recess at school, and then they get home and then they go straight out on their pushy and they're riding their pushy all afternoon, or they're going and they're playing other sports. They're playing football or soccer or like going and doing other activities or swimming or something like that. And then they're also riding their dirt bike 2 or potentially 3 times a week. And it's like that he's got the activity levels of an athlete. He has the energy demands of an athlete. You need to fuel him as such. So shifting the thinking around that is a really important thing as well.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest sort of difference between that for a normal person to understand is there is a huge difference between what you would term quote unquote healthy nutrition. So if a gen pop, say like a 35-year-old male that has a desk job, goes to a nutritionist, and what would be prescribed to that person for good healthy nutrition is going to be vastly different to what you would prescribe someone that is like I just explained,
Yeah.
because the energy demands are not the same. The energy demands are vastly different. So you need to give enough carbohydrates for the energy, but then you also need to have enough protein to recover from all the exercise and everything that you've done as well. So there's two sides of that that needs to be very, very heavily understood and focused on as well.
Absolutely fascinating, mate. On that note, we're going to take a quick break to hear some words from our sponsors, and yeah, when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about your riding, some of the injuries you've had, and yeah, what you do to stay sane as well.
We hope you're enjoying the show. Here at Mental for Moto, we can only do what we do because of the sponsors who support us. So please stay tuned for a couple of brief ads and make sure you show these legends some love.
Are you getting arm pump, fatiguing after just a few laps, or feel like you're often fighting against your bike? Today's motorcycles have been designed and built to suit a broad range of riders, conditions, and riding styles. This one-size-fits-all approach, however, means that when it comes to your own riding, your bike is often not handling and performing at its very best. Whether you're a weekend warrior or an elite-level racer, Fastline Suspension will help you unlock your riding potential by ensuring your bike is set up perfectly for your specific needs. And with the right setup, you're guaranteed to go faster, fatigue less, and ultimately have more fun riding your motorcycle. So what are you waiting for? Contact Adam at Fastline Suspension now. Fastline Suspension, set up for maximum performance, precision tuned for you.
There's nothing more refreshing after a day at the track when you're sweaty, grimy and exhausted than taking a dip in the pool. Southeast Pools specialise in building high-quality fiberglass and concrete swimming pools across the Peninsula and Gippsland region and offer a range of designs to suit every lifestyle, yard size and budget. So pick up that phone, give Trav at Southeast Pools a call today and be ready to take the plunge this summer.
Hero helmets have won over 125 motorcycling world titles with world-renowned superstars including Antonio Cairoli, Jeffrey Hurlings, Martin Muscan, even Jason Anderson. From the world stage right down to the grassroots motocross scene, Arrow is the title sponsor of the Gippsland Motocross Championships and even supports up-and-coming local legends such as Memphis Stravina and Zayn McIntosh. As one of the lightest and safest helmets on the market, when it comes to protecting my most important asset, I choose Arrow as well. To check out the range of Arrow helmets, head into your local dealer today or click the link below to visit the website.
At Mental for Moto, our mission is to give the unsung heroes of Aussie motocross a voice. From grassroots racing right through to the biggest events in the country, sharing the stories you won't hear anywhere else. From the privateer chasing the dream, to the junior rider who's pushing for their first win, the mechanic who works late into the night to get the bike ready for race day, to the track builder who turns a pile of dirt into a work of art. This is the beating heart of our sport. We're able to bring these stories every week to thousands of Aussie moto fans thanks to the generous sponsors who share our vision. If you're interested in the advertising packages that we have available, or just want to show your support, please check out our website, www.mentalformoto.com, and we can tailor a package to suit your needs. Now, let's get on with the show.
All right. Well, you've picked the motocross industry to build your empire, but how'd you actually get started into motocross? Like, why motocross of all sports?
It's really interesting how it all sort of started. I did like family when we were younger. We did have a little bit of land. It was only 2.5 acres, but it was enough land that I randomly asked my dad for a motorbike for Christmas one time, and I don't even remember asking him. I just remember just getting it for Christmas this one year. Got a Honda QR50 was my first bike. We still actually have it. We just did a restore on it
That's
a
cool.
few years ago. But yeah, it sort of just started from there, and it was nothing. It was just riding around at home, and I was kind of enjoying it. It was kind of fun. You'd have friends over, and you'd all ride the motorbike and all those kind of things. And then got a little bit big for it. Got another bike. It was an XR70, I think was the next one. Sort of progressed it from there, and then once again got a little bit bigger, and got a XR100 was the next bike, and then was sort of getting to the stage where Dad's like, "Oh, you probably should go and learn how to ride these things properly." Then sort of went and did a little bit of coaching with some coaches that were around the place. I actually started in Mini Kana,
Oh, cool.
was what I first started doing, and I was actually doing Mini Kana on the CRF 100
That's
as
more
well,
flat
which
track,
was
isn't it?
pretty cool. No, so mini Khan is the like the cone drills and all those kind of things, but they turn it into competitions. So
Oh, wow.
it's
Yep.
like yeah, you got like weave between and then turn around and come back, and yeah, all sorts of different events. And yeah, it's definitely teaches you some really good skills. Can definitely teach some bad habits as well. I definitely do coach some kids that are mini Kana kids, and you just like, all right, cool. Like all the things you learnt here, you need to unlearn those things because they're not useful on a motocross track.
Like what?
Um,
I'm curious.
yeah, so like they get a lot of bad habits of like coming in and skidding into turns, locking up the rear brake, and
Yep.
then and doing all those kind of things. Because it's a lot of like there is a lot of like lock the rear brake to like a 90 degree, and then sort of pop the clutch and finish the whole sort of 180 off, and then come back. Like it's a lot of those kind of skills,
Still a
which are
good skill to
great
have.
skills to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not something that we do in a turn on a motocross track, and it's like cool skill. We're not really going to use it every time on
Yep.
every single turn that we ride on a motocross track, though. So yeah, started in there. Quickly discovered that a CRF 100 was not made for doing those things and was definitely more of a farm bike. Upgraded to an 85. Still was just very much a beginner rider for a long time. Still at that stage, I would have been around about 12 years old then, 12, 13 years old. And it wasn't until the Honda brought out those CRF 150s, the race ones, and we got one of the first models of that because I needed to step from small wheel to big wheel anyway. And we'd spoken to a few other people, and we were starting to make some friends in the industry with some half decent riders that were more enduro oriented and stuff like that as well. And they recommended, hey, maybe Bronson would gel with the four stroke a little bit better than the two stroke. I was struggled to figure out the power of the 85. And instantly everything just sort of clicked once I got on that 150. And I was like, all right, cool, I got this. I can figure this out now. And started racing a lot more, started doing a bit of motocross, but mostly enduro. We went in, did a lot of enduro racing. And that was where it all sort of started for me. And yeah, like I said, I was starting to gel with it, starting to click, starting to figure it all out. I ended up getting a couple of state titles on the 85. I got a couple on the bigger bike as well. I didn't do a 125. I went to a 250, and yeah, got another title. Well, I didn't win actually. I think I got second or third on the 250 in New South Wales on that one. And yeah, it sort of got to the stage where I was getting a little bit older, turning like 15, 16, and I joke about it. It's a funny story, but it was the genuine motivation was actually there. Was I couldn't go and show off to the girls at an enduro track. The girls don't want to go watch you ride around in the bush where they can't even see you. You had to go to the motocross track. So that was the transition into more motocross and away from
Important
enduro.
priorities. Yeah.
It was a huge important priority. That was exactly it. That was exactly what happened, which was very disappointing for my dad actually, because he loved the enduro events. He actually because I would actually love to go back and do more enduro now as an adult too, because they were phenomenal events. Like the events themselves, but like they're 2 day events. You're camping, they're great weekends. Like the people are just phenomenal. It's a whole different environment enduro compared to motocross. It's very more relaxed, a lot more friendly than motocross, I find. Yeah, it was really really good. So he was disappointed when I stopped and switched over to motocross. He was just like, "Oh, at least I don't have to travel as much." Because
Did
we
he
were doing
ride as
mostly
well?
club stuff. Nah. So my dad had absolutely no clue about anything motorbikes until I got into it. He is a smart cookie, so he figured things out pretty well. And but it was cool because we figured it out together. So because I was more enduro oriented, and especially when I started getting into higher levels, and you have to do all your own bike work. So like we were doing AORC rounds and all those kind of things. I was actually looking at doing Aussie 4 day. I never ended up doing it, unfortunately. But yeah, you've got to do all your own bike work when you do those. You can have someone assist you, like they can hand you tools and tell you what to do and things like that, but the rider has to do it all themselves. So yeah, we were learning how to do those things together, which was really really cool. And that was a cool thing that me and him had as kids as well. It was like yeah, several nights a week would be down in the shed and would be, yeah, like stripping the bike down and pulling it apart and re-greasing things and rebuilding it up. We did do a little bit with motors. We never went crazy with the motors. We would do top end rebuilds and we'd do like valve clearances and all those kind of things. We never did anything too wild though. We handed it off to the professionals for that stuff. But like yeah, changing tires, like I'd go down in the shed and would be just tire on, tire off, tire on, tire off, over and over and over again, doing all those things. Moose tubes just started to come
Yeah.
in as a thing during that period as well. So then we had to learn how to do moose tubes, which back then was an absolute nightmare. I hear they're a little bit easier now, but I've thankfully haven't had to change a moose tube in a long time. But yeah, that was it. It was really cool, and like that was like a fun thing that we enjoyed doing, and was like it was just another aspect to the sport that we did. It was really fun. Which like so I did a lot of other sports as well. Like we weren't just motocross. I was a very very good swimmer as a young kid. I actually did crack a state title in backstroke for a little while. Like records don't last long, but I did actually crack the record at one period of time in backstroke for my age group back in the day. So yeah, I was huge squad. I was training in excess of 7 times a week. I was doing double days in the pool and stuff like that as well.
It's
And
full on.
then it was wild. But then yeah, I got a little disenchanted with it, which is interesting, and this has actually helped shape where I'm at with my coaching that I do now. So a real big reason for why I actually stopped swimming was I did not have a good relationship with my coach that I had. And yeah, I used to just get very frustrated with him and feel like I wasn't getting like what I needed as an individual out of him as well. And yeah, ultimately led me to yeah, quit swimming. And my dad said that I had to not let, because obviously that was a lot of time, energy,
Yeah.
and money and all that into the years and years and years of squad training and all that stuff. And he said, you got to do something that's going to involve swimming. And so, random out of nowhere, I chose water polo and I did water polo for a few years as
Oh,
well.
that's gnarly.
That is an underrated sport, man. You tell people that and they go, oh, it's gay or whatever, and it's water polo. I'm just like, mate, don't knock it
No.
till you play it. It is a gnarly sport.
Yeah. It's brutal. Like, and you see some of
It
like the
is, yeah.
underwater angles and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I used to come out all battered and bruised all the time, getting booted and kicked, and people get ribs broken and everything. It was wild.
Yeah.
Good sport. I liked it. I had fun, but yeah, I didn't have the developmental genes to keep up as I got a little bit older. Everyone else started to go and start being 6 foot plus, and I was still a measly 55 kilos, and I was quickly getting beat up in the pool. So I was like, all right, and water polo's on Sundays, and I started missing a lot of comps and that as well because I was off motorbike riding instead, and was like, all right, water polo's done. We're all in on motorbikes, and that was where that all went. But yeah, like I said, like with the swimming and the coach and stuff, like it definitely influences where I'm at now, being in that coach slash mentor almost position now, and it's like I've seen what a I wouldn't say he was a bad coach, just a misfit of coach to athlete
Yep.
can do to an individual. Not saying that I would have gone on to be a world beater in swimming, but there was definitely a high potential there. Like only a few years after I quit, we got to the age where we were like I was 17, 18, and the Olympics came around, and there was 3 guys in the Australian Olympic team that I was swimming in with only several years earlier that I was equal with.
Yep.
So I was like, shit, like it was interesting to see that. I was like, oh crap. I was like, he got on the Olympic team? Like, holy crap. So
That's still
yeah,
pretty
it's
cool. I
interesting
mean,
to
you can
see that.
still kind of treat that as a feather in your cap, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, I lost that developmental gene, like when we sort of hit the mid-teens and and all the hormones kick in and all those kind of things. Like I didn't get the grow gene, unfortunately. So definitely with swimming, height and reach and all those kind of things are a big factor. So yeah, it probably would have the gap would have probably progressed
Grown.
over time with that development there. But yeah, not to sort of downplay where it was at though. Like it was definitely a really good level to be at that time and that age. That's for sure.
Yeah. So with the motocross stuff, sort of where did that go and how far did you take it? Because obviously you've got a really good sound knowledge of the sport. So yeah, where did your riding sort of go after that?
Yeah, so it did get a little bit more serious. I never took it as serious as I would have loved to. Definitely money was a big part of that, but also like I finished school and then was getting apprenticeships and all those kind of things. Injuries also played a big role in that as well. I'm not going to sort of talk it up and say I was this world beaten motocross rider. I never really did anything too crazy as far as results wise, as far as motocross racing goes. I think as a junior, I did like half decent at state titles. I never got any overall like first, second, thirds or anything like that, but it was always sort of up there in that top 10 or creeping into the top five kind of thing as a junior at the state level. When I went senior, it was sort of similar sort of realm in that as well. I had tried my hand at a little bit of nationals. I went and did a couple of rounds of the Australian nationals that were achievable to actually get to,
Yep.
and that as well on a shoestring budget, and like wasn't terrible. I got lapped, but
That's
like
a fair chunk
yeah,
of the field though. Like the pointy end is
yeah,
very
that's
pointy.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. But it was more of an experience and stuff like that. So like, yeah, as far as the racing goes, like I definitely did well. I would say I was up in the advanced level and that as well with the riding and racing. But like my biggest thing as far as all of that is that like, and I've seen and I've interacted with a lot of riders that are very high level racers, and while they can do a lot of really cool things on their dirt bikes, being able to explain and teach someone else how to do it is an entirely different thing altogether. And like was always one of those riders where pretty much every sport never came easy to me. I had to work very hard at every sport that I ever did. I did still do a lot of other sports. I played footy, I played soccer, I did, yeah, like as a kid, like rode pushies. We did BMX. We skated. We did all sorts of other like activities and stuff like that as well. And there was definitely the kids that would just jump on anything and just be able to do it at a pretty proficient level very quickly and easily. I was not one of those kids. So I always had to work very hard and do a lot of practice and also like a lot of learning. So I had to like try and like figure things out and learn how to do it. And it was in that process of doing all of those things that you like as was explaining earlier that like you start to learn. It's like, oh cool, okay, well wrong, this is right. When it's wrong, it feels like this, and when it's right, it feels like this, and all those kind of things. And you can learn a lot from that. And then I feel like that is one of the biggest skills and assets that I sort of got and learnt over the years being like that. That's helped me to be where I'm at now as being a coach.
Yeah. And I think, I gauged within, I reckon, 5 minutes of, starting to talk to you. You're a very cerebral person. You think about things a lot and you break them down in your mind. And comparing what you're doing now to, say, the coach you had when you're swimming, like I picked up straight away when you were talking about how to engage with your students and figure out very quickly, whether they're a visual learner or they learn in different ways. So I think that's, that's your gift. You may not have picked it up naturally, but I think you've got definitely other strengths as well that have served you. Being
The
allowed,
funny thing is that both my mum and dad told me when I was still teenager. It's like, oh, you'd be a great coach. You'd be a great coach. And Nah. Didn't listen to him. Didn't listen to him. Wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it. All because I thought you had to be a full blown professional rider in order to be a coach. And it's even big reason why I still hung back and didn't do it for a very long time when I sort of, in hindsight, should have been, but
Yeah.
held off quite a fair few years longer than I should have.
Now, see, I think that that's a really common misnomer is that, the best coaches are good at their sport. They're good at their sport. It doesn't make them a good coach. Like, I think the ingredients for making a coach, and I mean, you live this, and I think you're sort of demonstrating it as well. Like, even though you're obviously a very good rider, I'm gauging that you're quite an exceptional coach.
Thank you.
No, that's all
I
right.
hope
It's
so.
definitely like I mean, I'm not afraid to say, like, I've spoken to a lot of coaches. I've done a lot of coaching, and I really like the way that you break things down and the amount of in-depth knowledge that you have. It's obviously something you are super passionate about.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's one of those things that, yeah, you know you're doing the right thing in your life when it doesn't feel like a job and you're literally excited to learn about it 7 days a week
Yep.
for years on end. So yeah, that's definitely where it's at. That's for sure.
So when you were riding, did you have aspirations to, to actually be a professional rider, or did you know that you weren't going to make it there and you were just doing it for fun? So what was your mindset at that stage, say when you were having a crack at the Nationals?
Yeah, so I definitely was under no illusions that I was going to be the next best thing. That's for sure. For me, it was. I've always been a huge on like my mindset myself has always just been on do the work, do the practice, do all the things, and what happens happens. And so I was just following the program. I was just following what I was doing and just following the progression. And it, like I said, I got to a stage where I was like, hey, like I'm at least fast enough to go and do one of them.
Yep.
So let's go do one. And it was more for experience going and doing that. I was like I said, I had goals to see if I could get within the top 15. I didn't get in the top 15. I think I was 17 or 18th or something like that, maybe. I can't remember.
Still better than
But like
most.
in saying that, yeah, like that's still pretty cool. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like I know it's not a true representation of all the riders in Australia and stuff like that. Like there was still plenty of riders out there that weren't there at nationals that I knew were faster than me and all those kind of things as well. So yeah, like I said, I was under no illusions of being a professional rider, but yeah, I just loved it. It was my sport. It was what I did. I got a lot of enjoyment out of doing it. And yeah, we were just doing it and we were doing it on a shoestring budget, pretty much a stock bike.
Yeah. So when did the coaching side of things first? When was it first on your radar?
Well, so because I was doing the strength and conditioning stuff for quite a few years. So
Yep.
I was doing that only for quite a few years. And we started doing these really cool events where we were doing these almost a precursor to what I'm doing now. It was I've always had this idea of doing similar things to like our big 4-day camps and that. And we were doing these 3-day camps where I was collaborating with other motocross coaches and I was putting together these 3-day events. And it was like a combination of obviously on bike, off bike, and we would also go into like athlete development stuff. We'd talk about nutrition. There's one camp that we did, we got Danny Ham
Yep.
came out to it, which was really cool. And he gave like a big talk about a little bit of like background on how he got to his level and his developmental story and that, but also more on like the PR side of things, because obviously like he was able to make a career out of his writing, being a commentator and all those kind of things, and his experience as a pro rider and what he did and what was expected of him and all those kind of things. Like he did a really cool thing for that. So like we were doing those kind of things, and that when I was doing those events, I would still go out and ride my bike, and I'd be part. I wasn't being coached, but I was sort of there sort of in the background and I'd do maybe a demo run through something for the other coaches that were there, and I'd sort of find myself chatting to some of the other kids and sort of giving them tips and almost coaching them to a certain degree as well anyway. And I was like, quickly figured out that I actually really enjoyed that side of things as well, and started getting some good feedback, and it sort of one thing led to another, and I ended up getting my coach license, and it sort of snowballed from there.
Yeah. So that was still while you were riding as well, though? Like,
So I had a complete 2-year hiatus from racing altogether. I didn't even touch my bike. I still kept my bike. It was actually the race bike that I did nationals on, which it did have a little bit of a race motor in it. It wasn't anything crazy, but that thing was getting up to 150 hours on a race motor. Um, yeah, so I was still. I got back into riding a little bit and didn't really enjoy had like just playing around with mates and that, and then I rode a old 2001 KX 250, and it blew my mind. It was the most fun thing I'd ever ridden in my whole life. And the very next weekend, I went off and I bought a YZ 250 two-stroke,
yeah.
and I rode that as a fun bike for about 2 years. And it was around that time that I was starting to do these schools, and I was sort of riding out at the schools with this 250. And yeah, I was just having a mad time. Like, it was brought the fun back to my riding and all that. There was no seriousness. There was nothing, no pressure. There was nothing. We were just throwing big whips and just all grins and going fast and screaming on a 252 stroke.
Yeah. Remembering what it's all
So,
about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was actually funny because I did that, and I had that bike for 2 years, and I quickly was like, shit, like I started riding really, really well. Like, I was going and doing ride days at ranch, and I was sort of doing 20-minute motos with some guys that I knew that were racing at a half decent level. And I was like same pace, if not faster, and full stock bike, didn't even have suspension done. I just did the sag on it and played with clickers, and that was it. And I was like, oh, I might get back into racing. I went and bought a 450, and God, I wish I never did that. And I started racing again. And yeah, funnily enough, I bought that bike, and the very next weekend after I bought it, I went and raced a state title in a mudder at Appen on a brand new bike. That was fun. But I had to start in C grade because I didn't have points. So I did win. They put the women in the same race as the C grade 450s, and Mad Meg was bloody battling with me, but I didn't know it was her. I thought it was someone in my race. And I cooked myself trying to stay in front of her, trying to do that. That was a funny one. That was good.
Yeah. You
Yeah, good times.
you mentioned that you had quite a few injuries through your racing career. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So worst one, or one that really sort of killed most of my racing, was a dislocated shoulder that I sustained when I was 19. So yeah, that was a really bad one. That was a off the start first turn crash.
Ugh.
Someone just come across, took me front wheel from me, and I went shoulder first into the inside rut. And yeah, that was no fun. That was no fun at all. Did a lot of damage in that one. So like obviously all the stretched ligaments and all that stuff that happens with dislocation, but I also chipped a lot of bone off in both the cuff and the ball joint of the humerus as well, which was really, really bad. A lot of floating bone in there. Is something I should have gone and got surgery for, but never ended up doing, unfortunately, and still putting it off to this day.
Does it give you grief at
Um,
all?
no, surprisingly not really. It's pretty good. My other shoulder's actually worse now. I've, unbeknownst to me, broke my collarbone on the other shoulder and thought it was just a bruise lump, but when the swelling went down, it was actually bone sticking up, and I was like, ah, okay. So that one sits funny in the shoulder joint because of that bone that's a bit skew if. So the other shoulder's actually worse now. But yeah, no, that shoulder dislocate was the biggest one. That one definitely hurt the racing the most. It was the hardest one to recover from. It was a good year and a half before I was able to ride without pain whilst I was riding. So yeah, that one killed me the most, and took me nearly 3 years before it would stop being loose and wanting to come out, sort of every chance that it got as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was the worst one. Definitely killed it. Had another really bad one where I was just riding at a mate's place, and luckily this one didn't have a huge recovery, but I actually put myself in ICU for several days. I split my liver open,
Oh,
um, which
oh,
was it was a funny one. Like I got winded, but then after I was done being winded, it was just like a discomfort sort of feeling.
yeah,
Like I definitely felt it wasn't
right.
okay, but I wasn't like buckled over in pain or anything like that either. And yeah, I almost didn't even call an ambulance or anything. I was going to just drive myself home. But then I was like, oh, I've got Ambo insurance, whatever. We'll just call them, see what they say. Even the Ambos came and they're like, oh, you've probably just bruised your ab muscles, like just a bit of like muscle bruising, like in the ab muscles. I was
How
like,
old were
yeah,
you at this
maybe.
stage?
Oh, I would have been 20,
Yeah.
21, maybe something like that. Yeah, yeah, it would have been about that time. And yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll go with yous anyway. We'll go home. So like, take me to hospital, make sure, do some scans, just make sure. I was like, it's not going to cost me anything. I can sort my car and my bike out later, or it was at a friend's house. We just left it all there, and they've jacked me full of morphine, and chatting their ear off me head on morphine, going to the hospital, getting there. My wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, met me in there, and we go off and do scans. We come back, I'm still high as a kite on the morphine, and old mate's like, the doctor says, "Oh, mate, you're lucky to be alive. You've split your liver open and it's leaking into your body." And I'm like, "Oh, what?" And I started laughing because I don't know why, but I just started
It's
laughing,
not really something
and
you
I
hear
just
of
got
too often, is it?
no, and I don't know why I laughed. Probably a combination of the drugs, but yeah, I don't think I've ever felt a most like the biggest glare I've ever received in my entire life from both like my girlfriend, wife, and the doctor at the same time. It was it was deathly. Like they're just like, "Are you serious? Like, who is this guy?" So that never went down well. That ended up being a 5-day ICU stay and another 2 weeks on ward until it healed over enough, because I had to stay on a drip because I couldn't drink anything.
Yeah.
Because if I drank something, it would leak. So I had to wait until it healed, go to another scan. Ah, cool. So yeah, that was probably the worst one as far as danger wise. But like I said, it wasn't too painful and too worrying for me, unfortunately. So yeah, definitely gave the family a scare. The wife, she's like, "Oh, you're not going to ride anymore." I was like, No, I'm going to ride."
Is she a fan of motocross?
Nah, not really. No,
No.
she doesn't really care for it. Yeah, even when I was racing, she would only come out sometimes to watch races and stuff like that.
Yeah. You said that moto, like in the past, was a huge part of keeping you sane. Like the journey that you've had in the first step, I guess, as a rider, like how did that impact your mental health? Like growing up, was it a good thing? You know, you obviously had
Mm,
a few hurdles to overcome in terms of some injuries, but
mm.
was in the sum of it, was it a positive impact on your mental health?
Yeah, yeah, definitely a positive impact. Taught me a lot of things, taught me a lot of resilience, and all that as well. And oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like independence as well, especially from the enduro background. Like I said, like you got to do everything yourself. So yeah, definitely learned a lot. Got me a lot of really good life skills, and how to cope with and manage a lot of different things as well. And yeah, it definitely gave me a little bit of an outlet to like going off and riding the bike was sort of like most people say the same thing. It's like their happy place
Yeah.
and that as well. But yeah, it definitely came with some lows and that too. I definitely had a low period when I did in that period after the shoulder dislocate. And I was having a few issues where it would come out. I've got a funny story where well it's funny now in hindsight, but at the time I was so like just down the rabbit hole and just in such a terrible place, and I just like broke down like mentally and emotionally. I was trying to start my whippersnipper to mow my lawns and it wouldn't start, and I've just in the mindset and the place that I was in at that time just snapped out of nowhere, like did the whole swing the whip snipper over the shoulder to smash it on the ground. And as I was bringing it over the shoulder, my shoulder popped out
Oh,
and the whipper snipper landed on my head, smashed me. And then I'm on the ground with a popped out shoulder, like in the middle of an emotional breakdown with all this pain at the same time. And then it was usually I was able to get them in quite easily. Like they would come out easy. I'd get them in pretty easy. And I was having a lot of troubles getting it back in. And I'm laying on the ground on the grass out in the back my backyard. My wife's there with me because she's a nurse and she's trying to help. And all I see in my mind is just like I'm just going, I can't ride a motorbike ever again. I'm just like, I'm never going to be able to ride a bike ever again. I was like, what am I going to do? And that was the only thing. I was just so distraught
yeah.
over that fact that I wouldn't be able to ride a bike again because my shoulder was that bad that it was never going to be okay for me to be able to heal. And that was, yeah, that was that was my worst concern. It wasn't the fact that my shoulder was cooked; it was that I wasn't going to be able to ride ever again.
What do you think it is about motocross that, keeps people coming back? I mean, you hear of riders, and we probably both know riders that have had catastrophic injuries that, would stop most people from ever doing whatever caused it, ever again. But for moto, people just keep coming back. What is it about the sport that attracts people, do you think?
Oh, there's so many factors to it. Like, I put a lot of thought into this actually when COVID hit, and I don't know if it was the same down where you were, but in New South Wales, there was no riding. You couldn't ride. We couldn't do anything. There was a very long period of time where riding was completely banned. You get fines if you went riding. You couldn't do any of it. And there was a lot of people in the industry that were having some really heavy, like mental, like problems with that. Like they were just going downhill. They couldn't cope, and a lot of like stories that were sort of being slung around is like, I can't ride. Like that's the thing that keeps me sane. And like it sort of prompted me to sort of think about it a little bit deeper. I was like, shit, like what's going on? Like what's actually causing this? Like why are people so quote unquote reliant almost on this as if it's a drug that they need a fix on it almost, and they spiral out of control when they don't have it. And like I don't know if I'm correct on this or anything, but it's just a theory in my own head that makes a lot of sense to me. Is that so? When we're writing, we have no distractions. We're in what we would call a state of presence when we're writing. All right, we're not thinking about the bills that are piling up. We're not thinking about this or that or your ex-girlfriend or anything else that's going on. You're not thinking about any of that stuff. You're 100% focused in on just what you're doing in the present moment, riding your dirt bike. That's something that as human beings we do need to do. Like we need to find something that allows us to do that on a regular basis. If we can't find presence in our lives, that is something that does have a lot of negative effects on ourselves. And yeah, that's where I feel like that's where a lot of people, that was the only way that they were able to find that in their lives was through the writing. And yeah, it was definitely something that we worked on with a lot of people during that time where are like, all right, cool, like you can't ride. This is the problem. How are we going to fix it? It's like learning how to bring presence into your life without the reliance on a specific tool to be able to do that, because if the tool's taken away, what are you going to do? So doing things like meditation and breathing techniques and all those kind of things, and just having that presence and stillness in your life still without relying on the dirt bikes.
Yeah. And I think for people that ride, I think, you've hit the nail on the head. That ability to find silence and quiet the noise. I think that's what draws a lot of vet riders back to the sport, because it is that escape. It is, in a sense, the meditation as well.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. That's it. So, not saying that it's bad that people are using it and stuff like that in that way. It's great
Oh,
that
no
they're
way.
able to
I think we've
do
all got to
something
have
like that.
something.
But
Yep.
yeah, 100%. That's it. So yeah, that's my theory. Don't know if I'm right or not, but it's my theory.
No, I tend to agree. I've actually spoken about that on the podcast before, and I've got a very similar view to you.
Cool.
And I think, and if it's not motocross, I think we all have our thing.
Yeah.
I spent 15 years cave diving, and when you break it down, it's exactly the same. You're present, you're focused, you've only got the sound of your breathing. It's pitch black, so the only thing you can see is where you shine your light, so there's no peripheral distraction. It's, you're in the moment.
And I think you've got to be locked in doing that. Very dangerous too, definitely.
But I mean, I know that's the perception, but I think that's sort of abstract again, like when it's no different to motocross, really.
Yeah, danger's relative.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just something that you, like you said, you've got to be fully present in for the time that you're doing it. And like you said, you're not thinking about your bills or your stresses or the things you've got to do or the list of jobs and I think that's super important, for mental health. And I think that's why moto is so good. So you're a young father. You've obviously got a very, successful growing business going. So do you still get a chance to get out on the bike?
Definitely not in the capacity I'd love to. I don't really get out that much, at least in the last 6 to 9 months. I haven't. I have bouts where I'll sort of get back into it, go do a bit of riding for myself and whatnot. It definitely is spits and spats though. Between the coaching and the like the amount of time that we are putting into the coaching and stuff like that, and then just mixing it between family and all those kind of things. It's not something that's taking such a high priority for me in my own life at this current point in time. I still love it. I still get out on the bike. Like I won't take my bike to my afternoon coaching that we do and stuff like that. I'd find that if I took it, it would mostly just be used as transport around the track mostly. So just get a bike dirty for not much reason. So I don't take it out to that. But we do take the bikes out to all our like weekend training camps and schools and boot camps and all those kind of things. And I still enjoy it just as much as I always have. I've actually I'm currently riding the Beta 300 RX, the two-stroke.
Yep.
And God, that is a fun bike, bro. That is such a sick bike. Like grin ear to ear every time I ride it. And I've had it for 3 years and I'm still just have so much fun on it. It is so cool.
They gave Cody O'Lone one of those while he was waiting for his 450.
Yeah.
And he said he had an absolute blast on it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I don't know how it would go as a race bike, just the way the power is as a race bike, but as a just absolute awesome hell of a time, I can't think of anything better. It's so sick.
Yeah. So these days then, if you're not riding as much, what do you do to stay sane and quiet the noise?
Yeah, so I've been right into my mountain biking it's been nearly about 9 months now.
Downhill, cross country?
Yeah, mountain biking. Oh, definitely not cross country. I'm not a peddler. I'm not a fan of peddling. I can think of a lot of better ways to get a sore bum than it's just not something that's that interesting to me. That's the only thing. But it's mostly downhill. I haven't got a downhill bike. I've got a more of an enduro spec bike because like we still do do a little bit of pedaling and that as well. So, but yeah, more downhill oriented, gravity riding and stuff like that. That's been a sick one for me lately, and it's actually really cool being a student in that as well. So I
Learning,
have
yeah.
been engaging with some mountain bike coaches as well, and I've been getting coached in mountain biking too. And like, one, it's cool, and I get to see, like, just other coaches in different realms and how they do things and how they explain things and all those kind of things, but it's, like, cool being able to see, once again, draw parallels. What parallels can
Yeah.
I draw from this sport? Because it's such a similar sport and that as well, and, bringing some aspects of that into the motorbikes, like, one of the big ones that I've been bringing, which is just really ties in with being, one, smarter, but two, smoother on the motorbike. And that as well is the whole idea of like weighting and unweighting the bike, which is a huge aspect of mountain biking. It's like, where are you going to put weight down so that, like, so you can be light over these rocks and roots, and then put weight down to turn, and all those kind of things. So, like, where you're going to weight and unweight the bike, and utilizing that a little bit more and being smarter on the tracks, and like through braking bumps, like, all right, like, go, just make the bike light, like, over the bumps, and like actually being smart and thinking about that and integrating that into the riding. That's been really cool. And yeah, no, I've just been frothing it. It was funny because I was huge mountain bike as a kid. Didn't do any months I got my car license, because why do I need to ride a bike
Yeah.
anymore? I got a car license. And I bought my oldest son a mountain bike around this time last year, because I was like, bro, you need to get out more, like, get off the PlayStation, all those kind of things. I was like, buy your bike. And then I ended up having a spin on his bike. I was like, oh, this is sick. I was like, oh, I might get myself one. So next thing I know, I'm off buying myself a bike, and we're going off and doing all these, like, riding here, there, and everywhere. And then about 2 months after that, I caught wind of a guy I knew that was doing a 11-day mountain bike tour through Tassie, and I booked myself in for that. And I was just all in. I was like, mountain biking, this is sick. I was like, we're going all in, and went and toured all through Tassie, did all the big hot spots all through Tassie, and Medina, seen where they were doing the Red Bull Hardline and all that stuff. It was sick. We had such a good time. It was fun.
Yeah. That's unreal. Would you
So
go,
yeah, that's my go-to. I'm on the mountain bike train.
uh, any chance of you going down the e-bike road?
It's on the cards. It's more trying to convince the rest of the family that
It's
spending
worth it.
$15,000 on something that you still have to pedal is a viable financial decision. So that's the problem we're sort of facing at the moment as far as the e-bike
Have you ridden
goes.
one?
I have, and I
Yeah.
love them. It's on the cards. It's where it's going to be the next purchase for
It's
sure.
so
I'm a
fun.
huge fan.
Yeah.
Well, like, at the moment, as far as accessibility goes, it's a little bit tricky. I'm very introverted, so I don't like going to the mountain bike parks on weekends,
Yep.
because everyone's there. So I'd rather go on a random Tuesday when I'm the only one there. But no shuttles run on weekdays. So I've got to try and con my wife to come out with me and shuttle me up and down the hill. So accessibility is sort of reliant upon another person at the moment.
Yeah.
So the e-bike will solve that problem.
So when you drive her
So
crazy enough, you'll get permission for the e-bike
exactly, I'm just like, look, if you don't want to do this anymore, there's a
method.
simple solution.
Yeah, method to the madness for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Before we wind up, as far as your coaching business goes, motocross conditioning coach, like, what is your goal, and what is your dream and aspirations as to where you want to take it?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we're really working towards now, and it's always been just like a pipe dream, but it's we're starting to get a little bit more serious on it now, and actually taking it a bit more seriously, and looking into it a lot deeper, and logistics and costing and pricing and all that, is going down the full training facility spec. So like along the lines of like your MTFs, your Club MX, all that stuff that they have in America. So yeah, that's where the goals are. So yeah, like we definitely we're putting into practice right now, like how that could potentially work in like how we're running some semi full-time programs and stuff like that at the moment with just the access and facilities that we have available to us here.
Yep.
And yeah, we're sort of seeing that it's pretty viable as far as that goes. There's interest, like the riders are keen. The amount of kids that are getting homeschooled and stuff like that these days is getting more and more. Um, so yeah, it's sort of starting to make the dream seem a bit closer to reality at the moment. So that's where it's all heading at the moment.
Yeah. So you would use facilities that are already existing and basically make a base there. Is that right?
No,
No.
we're looking at our own property.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. So we'll buy a property, full setup,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a huge one. It's definitely a huge undertaking to try and do that. A lot of money involved in doing it. A lot of times the facility doesn't just pop up overnight. Even if you've got all the money in the world, it still takes time to build and get contractors in and get stuff done. So we're realistic on that. But yeah, that's where it's all looking at the moment.
No, I was talking about something similar with Cam Bongers. He's a track builder,
Oh, okay.
and just that there is nothing really like that to the same degree as they have in the US in Australia.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I think with the amount of riders and the growth of the sport here, there's definitely capacity for facilities, not just necessarily one, but like that to be very successful, I
Oh,
think.
100%, multiple. Like it's even the same with coaches, man. Like there's at least five pretty serious coaches within an hour's distance of me, and we've all got plenty of riders. Like
Yep.
it's not there's enough riders to go around, that's for sure. And it's yeah, if we can get the more the merrier, because at the end of the day, I'm pro sport, like motocross. I'm pro the sport in Australia. Obviously, I want myself to do as best I can, but yeah, if the more the merrier, the better we can build it, the more competition we have, the better the competition is, the better the tracks are. It's just gonna be a net positive.
Yeah, everyone's a winner. All right. Before I
Mm.
let you go, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to or to thank?
Oh, my wife for putting up with me all the years and coming to hospital trips with me.
Enabling
So,
the obsession.
yes, that's it. My enabler. That's it. That's it. 100%. No, I don't have any major supporters and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all just me doing me at the moment. So yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, man. I've had an absolute blast talking to you, and I've learned a lot. You're a wealth of knowledge, and it's been fun.
Awesome. Thanks very much for having me on. It's been actually really enjoyable for me too. It's been good.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. We've got some more amazing guests lined up to come on the pod over the next year. So you know the drill. Subscribe to Mental for Moto on your favourite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any future shows. Massive thanks to Bronson Dewar for coming on the podcast for a chat. Make sure you give him a follow on Insta at Motocross Conditioning Coach and check out his website, mxfit.com.au. And to our partners for this episode, Fastline Suspension, Southeast Pools, Iro Helmets, Wolf Building Compliance, Ultimate Toy Haulers, and the February sponsor of the Mental for Moto, Motocross and Supercross wall calendars, O'Donnell Motorcycles. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. On behalf of Mental for Moto, I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see ya.